On July 13, 2007, a baby boy was born in Esplugues de Llobregat. It is a working-class town situated just outside the postcard beaches and tourist centers of Barcelona. This calendar shows how thin the margins of history can be. He was born exactly 24 hours before the strict age cutoff for Barcelona's youth academy, La Masia. If he had arrived a single day later, he would have missed the intake year for his entire generation. Standard professional development usually looks like this: a slow, decade-long arc of academy training and lower division loans. Yamals' trajectory is a steep, vertical spike, reaching the professional tier in half the time it takes most elite players to graduate. His story is a study in what happens to a person when they bypass the normal stages of adolescence to live entirely on an accelerated timeline. At 15 years and 290 days old, Yamal walked onto the pitch for Barcelona's senior squad. He broke a club age record that had stood untouched for decades. He was eventually handed the iconic number 10 shirt, the same number worn by Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, and Maradona. In Barcelona, that number carries a heavy gravity. It forces a daily, side-by-side comparison with Lionel Messi, requiring a teenager to play in the shadow of the club's most legendary figure. He is a boy who hasn't reached adulthood, yet he is expected to carry the commercial and spiritual expectations of a global institution under constant scrutiny. To find the source of his resilience, you have to go to Rocafonda in Mataró. Yamal's identity spans 2 continents. His father is Moroccan, and his mother is from Equatorial Guinea. He learned to play here, in concrete cages, where the walls are closer than the defenders. In these immigrant neighborhoods, the lack of space forces you to manipulate the ball in inches rather than yards. At age 7, he moved from those concrete courts to La Masia. This academy is a filter. Thousands of children enter these glass doors, but the annual cut rates ensure that only a few survivors ever see the first team. Yamal combined those 2 worlds. He took the agility required to survive in a concrete cage and refined it through the tactical patience of the academy. He doesn't panic when defenders close in, because he spent childhood with nowhere else to go. Between 2023 and 2024, his rise was a statistical sprint. He eclipsed the milestones set by previous prodigies like Ansu Fati and Bojan Krkić, becoming the youngest goalscorer and assister in the club's history. But as his professional stock rose, his home life was fracturing. His parents separated while he was still a child, forcing him to navigate a changing family structure while training at the highest level. Once his name became a global brand, his family's privacy disappeared. His father's legal controversies suddenly became public property, discussed daily in Spanish tabloids by people who had never even met them. This created a sharp, difficult divide. On the pitch, he was performing with the absolute composure of a seasoned veteran. Off the pitch, he was a teenager whose family drama was scrutinized by millions of strangers. His success on the field has come at the cost of his anonymity. Every record he broke made his private life public, turning his upbringing into a national conversation. That visibility reached its peak in the summer of 2024. At 16, Yamal became a focal point of the European Championship. In the semi-final against France, he scored from well outside the box, proving he could compete directly with the world's most established stars. Spain won the tournament, and Yamal was named the Young Player of the tournament, achieving at 16 what most players spend their entire careers chasing. The morning after the final, he turned 17. Within hours, his birthday party became a subject of national debate over the presence of specific performers, sparking discussions about ableism in celebrity culture. The speed of that controversy shows how his life has changed. His personal choices are now treated with the same weight as a cup final, scrutinized by a public that rarely allows a 17-year-old a learning curve. The 2026 World Cup represents the next major milestone. He will enter that tournament as an 18-year-old, carrying the expectations of the entire Spanish nation. Beyond the sport, he has become a symbol for a multicultural generation of youth in Spain, immigrant families who see their own stories reflected in his rise. Yamal's career is a living demonstration of survival under pressure. He is balancing the heritage of 2 continents and the history of a legendary club, while trying to keep the same instincts he first practiced in the cages of Mataró.